Welcome to Reunite with Self podcast. I'm your host, Rukan. Here, we will be discovering and unraveling what is truly holding you back. We will put the puzzle together and give you clarity on how and what you can do to create massive shift in your life so you start creating the life you always envisioned for yourself. There is no more waiting. Whether it is liberating from dysfunctional family patterns or parenting tools and tips that actually make the difference, we will be diving into the truth and core of things that are simple and which yet no one talks about. I will be sharing with you all the things that would have changed my life massively if I heard any one of these episodes. A new world is awakening, and true bliss, harmony, and peace is possible on this earth. And my mission is to bring you closer to that, one step at a time. In this safe space, I will hold your hand and give you courage and certainty that you can shift anything and everything in your life. It is time we break the pattern. Whether you want to be the parent you never had or make a shift in your life so you don't play small any longer, you will find the support and guidance in this space. My intention is for you to find answers within yourself while you listen to this podcast, so you feel the bliss of reuniting with your true essence, with self, with so much love and compassion and courage. From my heart to yours, let's keep it rockin'. My gorgeous listener, welcome to another episode on Reunite with Self. So happy that you're here. This is going to be a powerful episode. I got the question about people pleasing through my podcast in Turkish. And if you speak Turkish, please go listen to that as well. It was a different episode I did for that. But here I will just talk about, because this resonates with me so much, and I actually was going through an experience and it was like divine timing for me to remember all of this stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you today to empower really myself and to remind myself. So we're going to talk about 9 ways, or you can say reasons, why your need doesn't get met with people pleasing. We do people pleasing to get a need or some needs, to get these needs met. But what actually happens is that the question to this, like, can I get my needs met with so much performance, with trying to please others, or trying to do the things to be loved? If you have this tendency, I am a recovering people pleaser for sure. I'm going to be on this journey throughout my whole life, but I know that I've taken grand steps to really change my life and the way I live and the way I connect with others, the way I make choices in my life on who I want to spend time with, my boundaries and all the things. I'm still learning every single day, and I'm going to be learning throughout my whole life. I know this. But I want to share with you, when I say people pleasing on this podcast, you know that I always talk about family stuff. So whatever situation you are going through in your life, like whatever challenges, just to cut it short, they all come from family. They all come from stuff that you don't even remember happening to you while you were a child, a baby, all the things. I knew this as, I don't know, it was like, not even logically, like I knew this idea, but until the moment that I created so much clarity in my life, I knew what it meant. You know, some things that we hear and we believe that, but it does not touch the ground. Like, it does not become so real and something that you can actually use as a tool in your life while navigating things. It becomes like one of your tools once you have a true experience of maybe awakening, usually something challenging happening to you. That is usually the case. But sometimes you find about this not through pain, but by pleasure as well. So I want to keep this episode short. I don't want to go deep into where people pleasing comes from. I'm just going to go over it really short, but I can do another episode just only talking about where this people pleasing comes from. Like why it might be automatic to you, why it was maybe a habit for you, as in my case, or maybe it still is. Maybe you are realizing things about yourself. I'm realizing things still. But now that I have differentiated it, when I have a tendency or like a hesitation, when it's not clear yet about one thing, then I can make sense of my hesitation now, like why I don't want to do that thing anymore, because it's not going to give me actually what I want. And in this, like, just to give it context, in this example, like what I had this week was that I was talking to someone in my family about going to an event in the family, and I just was not feeling the happiness or the excitement I would feel thinking about it before. And what it comes down to is all the stuff that we talk about in narcissism as well, like you believing in a potentiality that it's going to be this way, but it's never that way. Like when I leave that event, I know that I'm not going to feel connected. I'm not going to feel like I was seen, heard, not like it won't be reciprocal what I give and receive. We're going to talk about this today, but in that instant, like as I was hesitating and having resistance and realizing that I'm actually not that excited about it, like I'm actually like, it's fine if I go, but if I happen to be in town, just like having no expectations and knowing that it's going to be whatever. And this is like a family gathering, whatever. So I want to talk to you. So people pleasing comes from you experiencing some things, not just like once or twice, but in a pattern in your childhood when you were a toddler, a baby, like from the moment you were born, in the family you come from, like the family you were raised in. It doesn't have to go into relatives even. The family that you were raised in, if you were not seen, heard, loved in a way, or even soothed the way you needed, like whatever your nature is, and a baby always needs all of this, by the way, all of that 4 things I said, or 3 things. If those needs were not met as a baby, as a toddler, as a child, and these things are very clear to see if you have the intention to look. As a parent, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you can always see a nature of a child, like what they need. If you have the intention, the kid knows. So if these were not met and you had to perform and do things in the hope of getting that soothing, focus, attention, presence, love, just confirmation that you are valuable, worthy, enough, all of that stuff. If you had to perform to get them, and in the end you don't get them while you're doing this as a child, but it's just a coping mechanism, you are hoping, you're finding excuses for the other person, for the parent, and you, in the hopes of getting it, you keep on doing that. And it just feels sometimes a little safer. It's just the coping mechanism of the child. But I'm not going to go deeper into this. I want to do another episode just on this. And if you want me to do this, please DM me. It's my Instagram. You can always DM me with your questions. If you have a topic in mind that you want me to talk about, if you have a question about your own life, we're going to put a nickname for you, and I'm going to do an episode just based on your questions. So you can always DM me at Kevela. It's my goddess wear brand. It's where I put all the things, all the content for Reunite with Self podcast and my goddess wear brand as well. It's in the show notes. You can always DM me there. But this is So people pleasing comes from a part of you that felt not worthy, not enough to get, like, not worthy enough to get love, blah, blah, blah. So the child felt like it had to perform, it had to give in order to receive those things. And it becomes, of course, people pleasing is not healthy. Wanting to please someone in a moment, that's different. But people pleasing, where it's automatic and you are not even conscious of it and it's just a habit, it's not healthy, of course, because you never get what you want. And let's talk about why your need doesn't get met. The first thing is that, obviously, so people pleasing is all about giving how the other person feels. It can look very different, but if I talk about always about the family, relatives, like first the family you come from and then the relatives, because then the other things, like how you are or were in your romantic relationships with your friends, with your colleagues, at workspace, social space, like those are all results. They can change. They naturally change once you look back to the core of the problem. So the core of the problem, always and always, even like if you're conscious of it or not, you might have problems in other areas of your life, in your adult life, but honey, you have to look back to your family stuff for sure. They all come from there. Maybe you don't even see them, which is even more, they control your life even more deeply if you're not seeing it. So it comes from the family you were born into, you were raised in, and then it comes from like your relatives, that circle. So yeah, I was this, I wasn't even aware of it. When I would go to gatherings, I was this people pleaser for sure. And I'm going to talk about like what are the effects on you as well here. Not the effects, but like why your needs are not met. Like you're doing it to get a need met because you want to connect, you want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to feel love, you want to feel like there is a true connection, like that, that the person is going to see you for who you truly are, that you're going to have feel this healthy attachment with them. The connection with them. So the first thing is receiving is as important in all relationships as giving. Receiving is as important as giving in all of your relationships. So people pleasing is based on, like, focused on giving. It's always giving, giving, giving. You're hoping to receive, you don't receive it. And that's why when you leave that gathering, that dinner table, that brunch, that whatever, coffee, whatever, that event, and you leave that place and you feel like something is missing, that it might even be, I'm just giving you examples, that like you're broken, something is missing, sadness, disappointment, confusion, like you might get a little confused too. And then you play tricks with your mind to tell yourself that, everything is fine. You're trying to think about the happy moments of the night, of the day. Just trying to, I'm using consciously the word try because you're trying. You don't feel fulfilled in a dynamic where you tend to be a people pleaser. And it's all good. We're not judging anyone. We're not judging ourselves. And this, you can change 180%. You can make this your superpower and you can change it 180%. Once you have the clarity, it becomes almost natural. Like changing it is so much easier when you are totally clear about what the heck has happened, like what is going on. Like it becomes almost natural. The change almost becomes natural. Like it doesn't take that much of an effort. Once you are truly clear of the dynamic of what's really happening. Second reason, you don't need to be performing in a certain way or give someone something to be loved or to be connected or to be worthy. Your worthiness is not based upon your performance. Your worthiness is not based upon your performance in a relationship. It's not true love when you are obligated to give something and be a certain way. And especially, people pleasing comes from not being in your center. Like when you are centered and when you are making that decision from an aligned way, like giving is delicious. But as you can imagine, I'm talking about dynamics where the other person doesn't even see that you're giving. Like they don't even know. So just remember that in order to be loved and in order to feel worthy of love, in order to be connected, to have a connection with someone, you don't need to be performing in a certain way or obligated to give something to someone. The third reason why your need doesn't get met with people pleasing is that this is so big. This is huge. This is huge. No matter how many hours you talk to someone in that people pleasing dynamic, like no matter how deep you go, no matter what they share with you about their lives, or no matter what you might be sharing at that moment, you are actually never seen and heard for who you are when you are in people-pleasing mode. The person actually never sees and hears you for who you truly are. Never. I know this by experience in all kinds of relationships I've had in my life. The person never sees you for who you truly are and what you truly are. They never hear or see you for who you are when you are people-pleasing. And I would be so happy to go deeper into all of the stuff, or a couple of them. But just to note here, when you are in a healthy dynamic, in a healthy relationship, giving and receiving is in a flow. You might be giving more in one day, the other person might be giving more the other day. It doesn't matter. But they see what you are doing when you are giving them something, when you are complimenting them, when you are talking to them in a way that doesn't intimidate them, when you are seeing them, seeing something about them, maybe saying something to them that makes them feel good, but in a healthy relationship, they know that you are willing to see them, and that's why you're saying those things. Your willingness to see them or to understand them is gold. And that brings me to my next point. Yeah. The fourth one is, I'll just call them shallow people, but people, on the surface, they think it comes natural to you when you make them feel good. Like there is no effort required, and that they're not aware that you have needs every moment of every day. You don't need to be nagging about a big situation, like complaining about it. Not even complaining. You don't need to be going through a big challenge. Or the opposite would be, you don't need to be going through a big celebrative moment in order to be seen and heard, or in order for them to acknowledge that you might need support in that moment. We as humans, we just want to be seen and heard, and we just want to be understood. And we feel emotions, especially highly sensitive empaths, we feel big emotions every day. Challenging or not, we feel emotions every single day. And as humans, we just want to be seen. So, and the people on the surface, by the way, they make you feel worse than you are on a normal day, on a day that you're not really challenged, that you are more like, I don't want to say neutral because like I'm never neutral. But you know, you're just like in the flow. You don't have like big fears in that moment or big distress or big disappointment, like nothing big challenging or nothing like high in that moment. But like, of course, like me seeing a sunset is high for me. So it doesn't have to be like events in my life, but just like you're just being, okay? And from their perspective, let's say, I don't want to say from their perspective, but like when you look from outside, it might seem as if, you know, everything is like neutral, normal. You're not high or low. And those are the moments that the people with narcissistic tendency or the shallow people or whatever, they never acknowledge that you need support, you need the compliments, you need to be seen and heard, you need space to be held, you need your space, you need them to see like them to see you if you're connecting, you need that every day. You need everything that you give to that other person every day, just like them. Like they are not more special than you are, or their moment is not more special than theirs. So this is like one of the ways that you actually are never seen when you are people pleasing, because the people that you do this with, in my family, I have a lot of people with narcissistic tendencies, like different shapes, forms, sizes, colors, tones, textures, ages, whatever, genders, many. I can't even say 50%. Maybe it's more than 50%. I don't know. But I can say that in those moments, like when I was going through that people-pleasing mode, and I might still go, I mean, I'm still learning. Even in those moments, I'm always learning. But now I'm more aware that I'm not satisfied, like I'm not fulfilled, because it's the dynamic is not reciprocal. Like I can't be... I'm not like, I'm not understood. I'm not seen. I'm not heard. I'm not getting what I need from that connection. Just like the easy stuff. Like for me, feeling safe and being seen and heard is easier than not. It's just like natural. It's the easy thing, especially with your relatives, with your family. Like it is easy to see the other person, because when you are willing to see them and when you are open, when you are not trying to give them advice, when you are just there to support them and see them and acknowledge their efforts in life, like what they might be going through that you might not even know, like not making any assumptions and just holding space for them. It is easy, because that's what family is for. And this is the irony. This is not what family is, that this is not how family functions in the world right now. This is not the way it functions. There are the givers and there are the takers. And once the giver understands that people pleasing will never give him or her or them what they need, like they're just running after something, but they will never get that. It's always a potentiality, and they feel that something is missing. And the worst part is that sometimes people get so used to it that it's their normal. Like they always make up an excuse for that moment and just go to the other one, but just repeating that cycle without never truly being seen and heard. And usually these people are the ones who need more to be seen and heard. They go through more challenges than the other person who is maybe has like the narcissistic tendency. They have more challenges in life, and they had more challenges in life. So, yeah, you're never seen and heard for who you are, and the shallow people never sees that what you are doing in those moments, when you're giving them a compliment, when you are seeing their efforts, like when you're acknowledging them, when you are giving them space, when you're holding space for them, when you are present for them, when you are talking about something in a way that will not intimidate them, like you can go to their level. And it doesn't mean that you're above them or below them. It doesn't matter, but you know like how to be humble and just lower yourself and look at life from their perspective. This is all love, my friend. This is all nurturance. Nurturance is love. That effort, that it's like labor of love. It's like moment of love. But it's, of course, it's like where there's lack of love when you're people pleasing. But that willingness comes from love. And if it's not reciprocal, then those moments are where there is lack of love. So the fifth thing to remember is that you are not the savior of anyone. Trying to save someone actually comes from ego, usually comes from fear, or the idea that you have more capabilities than others, you have more space than they do, so you can save them. Like, you're not the savior of anyone, and it doesn't actually come from love. It comes from ego. Even with the best intentions, if you're trying to save someone, it comes from ego. So it's something that we should remember when necessary. The sixth one is performance-based attention is not love. And if you are connecting with someone on a performance base where, again, it's like it's not reciprocal, it's only one way, and there is people pleasing dynamic, that you're doing, like you're trying to people please the other person. In those dynamics and through those moments, you can't really differentiate who you can have a bond with, because it's not, because you're giving so much and you're not sitting back and actually observing what's really happening in that moment, like how the other person actually doesn't have any intention to really see you. That is the moment that you can see, oh, maybe I don't even need to spend time with this person. Oh my God. Like, I continuously put a cross on, like, I don't need to see this person. I don't need to see this person. Like, I am continuously, it's like unlearning. Like, I'm not here to learn, but unlearn all the BS. And taking people out of your life, like, when they talk about unfollowing people every Friday on Instagram, it's like, more importantly, or maybe whatever, but more importantly, when you are differentiating who you actually do not need to spend time with anymore, because it is actually like it's taking away from your life and what you can create for your life. Yeah, it's really powerful. It's very powerful. It's not easy, because your comfort zone is most probably, if you're a people pleaser, it's easy for you to spend time with people. It's easy for you to make them feel great. And that's why they think it's easy for you to feel joy and happiness in front of them, or it's easy for you to support them and see them. It's because they believe that they need that more than you do. Like, bonkers. Like, it's so stupid. It's like, I believe strong people, I believe who do more in life and who is like being more in life, they need more support than anyone else, because they're doing the work and they're taking responsibility for their own lives and they're being accountable for their lives. They're not complaining. They're doing the work. Like, they're putting one step before the other one every single day. And they're not functioning in a way that is like asking for more and more from the other person emotionally or energetically. They're just like living, learning. Those people are gold, and they need more support than the ones who act like they're the victim, that, they don't know anything, that life is so hard for them, blah, whatever. So let's go to the seventh one. We talked about this, but I want to repeat here again. People don't know the real you when you're people pleasing. So your need doesn't get met. People don't know the real you. They might have actually no idea about the challenges you go through in life because, you're always giving. And if you're giving, that means when you look from outside, it means that you've already filled your cup, everything is flowing, everything is good, and you are able to give back to others because everything is wonderful. Or even from their point of view, the narcissistic point of view, that life is easy for you, that you have more than them, that life just happens for you. That's how they see it. I'm just like, I'm always imagining people in my head when I'm talking about this stuff for sure. So the 8th one is how receiving is different than people pleasing is that receiving happens being in that state of receptivity. People pleasing, when you are actually in a state of people pleasing, when that's your motivation subconsciously, when you are outside looking at how people are feeling, what they would want, like you just want that delicious moment of connection, but that never happens. And if there is like a breadcrumbs, that's never satisfactory because you are not even truly being seen, because you're not even acknowledged for something sweet that you have done either, Because when it's a healthy relationship, even when the other person is going through tough stuff, the stuff that you do for them, they see it and they acknowledge it and they say something about it in that moment or later, but they know, they say it to you. So you're seen in that moment as well. So yeah, it's just delicious. Like healthy bonding, healthy attachment, healthy connection is just so delicious. And it is the easier path. So just like taking people away from your life, like not spending time with people that is not worth it, really creates space for that sweet golden people in your life and for new ones to enter. So the 9th thing, the last thing I'm going to talk about today is boundaries. Obviously, when you are in a state of people pleasing, when it's your motivation, your boundaries are not going to be met. Like nobody's going to respect your boundaries. You're not even going to be conscious of them. And I believe that the more healthy boundaries that you have is actually how people respect and love you more too. I'm talking about healthy people. Like even some narcissistic people too, they see that you're holding your boundaries, they respect you more. Some of them, not all of them, I'm not talking about everyone that is close to you. I'm just talking about maybe like on the street, whatever. And it depends on the situation and the person. But boundaries is something like healthy boundaries are life. They're non-negotiable, and your boundaries are not negotiable, but they become negotiable when you're people pleasing. They get crossed over, not respected. You're not even aware of it, what boundaries you have, what needs you have, how you are feeling, if you are in your body, if you are centered, like you're not even aware of this stuff because you're so outside and you're trying to people please the other person. So your hope is that they feel relaxed and happy and they see your work, like that you just want to have a connection with them, a true connection. And then they start being kind to you and compassionate to you and empathic to you and hold that space for you as well. That never happens in a people-pleasing dynamic when the other person especially has narcissistic tendency, especially. And they never see the effort that you put into it, that it does not come natural to you. The way they hurt you comes natural to them. The way you give them empathy comes natural to you. It's not that... what I want to say here is that they think that they have reasons to be an a-hole to you, whereas you can have all those excuses as well from your own perspective, but you don't. You don't even think about being an asshole to them. So this is it for this episode. I'm so happy you were here. I am sure you were reminded of some truth that you already hold in your heart. I'm here for you. I see you. I love you. And if you have any tendency of people pleasing, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you have like more or less or sometimes more of some of the ways that you might be people pleasing or even tendency to be that way. I want to tell you, you can change it 180%, like not 180%, 180 degrees, like you can change it completely. You can change it completely. You can change your life completely and have very different connections with people. And the way you have, like, you create healthy attachments in your adult life starts beginning when you see all of this with total clarity. I love you. I'll see you on the next episode. And I'm always here if you want to DM me with any of your questions. Please leave me a 5-star review. If you feel like it, it would help the podcast so much. I'll see you next week. My gorgeous listener, if you had any takeaways from this episode or from this podcast in general, I would love to know. Please share this episode with a few loved ones right now. You never know how they can benefit from something so small. And please take a screenshot of this episode and share on IG, tagging me at Khewella. That is Khewella. Khewella. That is my goddess wear brand, my Instagram page. I would love to know what your takeaway was or something you found inspirational or a confirmation you believe in as well. That would make my day. And you can always DM me if you have a topic or a certain question in mind that you want me to talk about. And give me a 5-star rating if you feel like it. That would help this podcast immensely to get the word out. I love you. See you on the next one. I want to see you shine your brightest.